this is a very special day, and in that special day, meaning that it's unprecedented, meaning that it's a surprise for a lot of people, meaning on whichever side you're on this, the overturning of Roe v. Wade was something different, something that nobody really thought would actually happen. Precedented stuff became unprecedented. What was the norm was now not the norm. From what I remember, it's 70 years. This is going to be touchy. This is going to be emotional. This is going to anger or actually give some people peace due to what I believe in this video. Most of it I still do believe, some a little bit different maybe when it comes to certain specifics, but I think this video might bring both sides together because I try to understand both sides. Well, obviously being on more of one side than the other. If you're still here hopefully you don't think just because I'm a Christian, therefore I'm pro-life all the way, or just because I say I'm not that, therefore I think the murder of babies is okay. Watch the video for yourselves, please. Before we begin, we're going to do a little beginning prayer. So, Heavenly Father, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, Holy Spirit, thank you as we do this video. As I do this video, I truly think that it will touch people's lives and hearts and understand the meaning of life and just the preciousness, how life is precious, while understanding the pro-choice. Thank you that this will lead people to you and that they will talk to you and pray to you about more about abortion, how things are. In general, understanding both sides of the argument. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. 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 Alright, so this is going to be talking about abortion, and when I might say things that's like, well, if you're gonna say that, then would you say this? Or I'll pretty much say questions. I'm just gonna leave questions out. I'm not going to really answer them in a lot of cases. You can answer them in the comment section down below if you want to, or just having conversations in the comment section, healthy and great conversations in the comment section. And general, understanding pro-life and pro-choice, and just understanding stuff in general. So I'm just gonna lay out questions, and this is pretty much I'm gonna just let you guys think. This is a thinking video. I'm just gonna let you guys think video. Just think about it. If it's this, then this, Just let you guys answer the questions and really think about stuff and how you should say stuff and when you should say it. Because some people like me are gonna be like, well, hold on. If you're gonna say that, then explain this in your party. Because this person is most likely Republican and this person is pro-life. So, do not dox or go after any of the people that this senator talks about or the senator in general. Let's get into the video.
GM car, Nissan, Honda, Kia, or Toyota, even Hyundai. You'll notice they've started installing a new feature in their cars. It's a reminder when you turn off the engine to check your back seat. Quite frankly, I rented a car not long ago and it started dinging and I kept trying to figure out what I had done and kept looking around until I saw the little monitor on the dashboard and it just said, check the back seat. Which I thought was great. Because the makers of those cars all believe every child is precious and they shouldn't be harmed. We've all heard stories like this, but I distinctly remember last summer seeing in the news a story about an infant who died because they were left in a hot car.
Hold up, guys.
That's why these car makers are making this feature now.
Everything's fine.
I remember as I saw the story on the news and just the reports, how angry people were in the community, and they were angry at the store, and they were upset on the news. They couldn't believe that a mom had left a child in the back seat of a car and they had slowly died of heat. Because no one wants to see a child harm. Everyone believes that every child is precious. But I remember when I saw the story on the news last summer, I remember turning to my wife and saying, I can't figure out our culture sometimes. Because that same...
And I understand pretty much why he kind of can't. Is pretty much he's going to pretty much say, like, why are people angry that some people leave their babies or kids in the car that's hot, but not complaining about abortion? The reason for that is understanding the pro-choice argument, while still being pro-life, because I am pro-life. Most pro-choice people might believe, or pretty much a lot of them believe, that a child in the womb is a fetus, not a life, not a living being, not a sentient life. Therefore, they're not really that valuable, or maybe even disposable. Well, I do not agree with that, but I would ask, why do you think that? What led you to think that? Not a, what led you, you cruel baby killer? No, I would be like, why do you think that? What led you to that conclusion for you? Because I would be curious. Because that would make sense to ask that question, to not just bombard the person and saying that they're a baby killer. Because that would be a wrong thing to do. Never get anything done. It's like with pro-choice people are saying, oh, you're all pro-life is pro-rape. Like, no. You should ask us, why do we think that a fetus is alive? What led us to that conclusion for us? That would make more sense. That would make more sense to say that, or say that question, and just understand. And again, most pro-choice people don't even think that a fetus is alive. So it's good to pretty much ask the first question, where does life begin, and why do you think life begins there?
That same mom and that same baby could have gone into an abortion clinic just a few months before, and that child's life could have been ended, and it wouldn't have made the news. In fact, no one would have flinched. In fact, that very same people that were furious at that mom for leaving her child in a hot car to die would have argued for her right to destroy that exact same child. In fact, would have called it her reproductive right, or even a new euphemism out there, reproductive care. Reproductive care seems like such a nice little euphemism. But what it really means is paying someone in a clinic reach into the womb with a surgical instrument to pull the arms and legs off of a child in the womb so that they will bleed to death in the womb, and then suction out the little boy or girl's body parts one at a time. That's what reproductive care means. And I don't understand why that's normal, but leaving a child in the back seat of a hot car is a tragedy.
Because some people believe that child in the car is more valuable because it's outside of the womb, which for me wouldn't make sense, because biologically both of them would be considered a life. But some don't think that, and I would want to know why. This is very emotional for me as well. Like, I never had, well, I don't know anybody who had an abortion or anything like that, but it's still very emotional. So, yeah.
Maybe it's because as a nation, some people are afraid to answer the most obvious question. Is that a baby?
the reason why it might not be so obvious is because it just depends on where you are and how you grew up. If you grew up thinking that sentience is outside of a dependent, so outside of of yeah, I think I'm saying that. If a dependent is independent, therefore it is sentient. But others say dependent or independent, that could be a life, depending on how that is or like. And that is a good question. Is that a life? Pretty much the same thing as where does life begin in a sense of a way. But where does life begin makes a little bit more sense to ask the question first so we can understand where people are, where a particular person is.
That's the most obvious question. That face, that nose, those two eyes, that mouth, that chin, those fingers. Is that baby? It's really the only.
I mean, yeah, it is a baby, but for some reason, sometimes weird reason, some people think that it isn't. And again, you should say, why do you think that? Not you baby killer, why would you even think something like that? Because that's not gonna get us anywhere. And I'm not really trying to be centrist. I'm just trying to let you guys understand that some people don't even think that a fetus is alive. I mean, it's not surprising, but it's like biologically and just in general, you would think a fetus is alive. But for some people, they aren't. And I would ask them, why do you? What is the reason? What led you to that? Then we can be like, okay, X, Y, Z. Because a lot of people are just yelling at people saying pro-life is pro-rape or pro-choice is pro-murder. You're not gonna get anywhere. You're not gonna get anywhere doing that, really.
Really, the only question is that a child? Maybe there's a second question that needs to be answered. Are all children valuable? Or only some?
Are all children valuable? See, there's so many variables, but most of the case, yes, obviously, yes. But I mean, does a illegal immigrant child matter? I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just saying. Those children matter as well? I mean,
only some children valuable. We seem to have a great deal of debate today in our society, and we should, about facts. People say we can't seem to agree on the same set of facts and truth. You can't have your facts and my facts. We just only have facts. The media, big tech, activists have all decried of our losses of our ability as a nation to just accept clear facts in front of our face, the obvious truth. So let me ask a question again. Is that a baby? Yes or no? Because if we're all supposed to say, let's at least agree to the most basic of facts, how about that one?
well, see, the problem is if a pro-choice person said yes, then a lot of people are like, then why do you murder babies or blah blah blah? Because at the end of the day, most pro-choice people, depending on where you are, most pro-choice people are against abortion. They just think that it should be a choice. And again, I have a comment about all that.
Is that a human child with a future and a purpose?
But the problem is, we don't know a baby's future until we develop, the culture that they're in, until they develop the home that they're in, to where we can actually determine how their purpose will be. God does have a purpose, but you have a choice to deny or accept that purpose, and a baby can't even choose that. A baby doesn't even know what choice is. So the argument of future purpose argument with pro-life doesn't really make sense when you think about it. Because if we're going to do that, Was baby Hitler Hitler? Baby Hitler didn't even know what a Nazi is till baby Hitler turned to teenage Hitler and all and on. So did baby Trump knew that that adult Trump would build a wall? No, I don't even think baby Trump knew what a wall is. Babies don't know what stuff like that even is. What I'm trying to say is a baby doesn't even know their purpose and future yet, so we shouldn't try to determine the baby's future and purpose. That's pretty much what I'm trying to say. I might have said it in the wrong way, or maybe didn't, or maybe should have used a different example, but hopefully you guys understand what I'm saying. That a child doesn't even know what a purpose and future is, so we can't really just determine like this baby will have a great purpose and future. He might, or she might, or this child might, but at the end of the day, that's their choice. When they turn into a teenager or full-fledged adult, they're gonna make choices. But a baby doesn't even know what a choice is. So when you think of it like that, you can in a sensible way use the purpose and future thing if you like know who the parents are and if you know where they're being born at and if they're living in that particular community, then you can kind of determine that yeah, they're gonna be like this if they had like the best care, if it was by a rich family, of course that baby's most likely going to have a purpose of wealth or a future of a rich person. But but maybe when they're a teenager, they might have somehow became poor or they were out of that rich family because they made a choice to do that, or they might have done something to where yeah, they can't be in that rich family anymore. So you just have to look at that as well. So I am not going to say this. I mean, in some cases I will, like, just to be kind, obviously. But I'm not going to be like, oh, I have to be kind because my emotions say so. I'm going to be like, no, this baby will have a purpose and plan. But it's their choice of what that is at the end of the day. Because God has a purpose and plan for you, but you have the choice to deny it or accept it. And a child, again, doesn't, sorry, a baby and a child as well pretty much doesn't really know what a choice is yet. That's why we should determine maybe the future and purpose by the family or the culture that they're in, and maybe can assume that it will be that way, depending of how protective the parent is and how they would live, maybe what school, because all those variables have to count, because it's a life, and a person's life has choices.
And a name. Are all children valuable?
Yes. Just
or only
yes.
Some?
Usually yes. Maybe sometimes no.
Valuable. Doesn't
Most
matter.
likely
I have gold in my wedding ring. Many people have gold in their wedding rings. If we found a small piece of gold on the floor, it would be valuable. Wouldn't matter its shape, wouldn't matter its size, small or large. We don't discriminate. Gold is valuable because everyone universally recognizes its worth. Every single senator in this room recognizes the worth and value of gold. It's around $1,800 an ounce right now to be able to get gold. We all seem, no matter how small or large, gold is valuable, but we can't seem to agree that all children are valuable. Literally,
Wait.
Gold is more precious to some people in this room than children are. Children aren't valuable only sometimes, or only certain children.
Sorry, wait, hold up. He's got a point, and I do sort of like that example, how gold is equally valuable, but a child... You can make that argument, but you first have to understand, does the person that you're arguing with even know that the fetus is alive? And maybe you can tell them why you think it is, and how maybe you should as well. Like, don't just easily don't just try to persuade or try to, let the person think how you think. Just let them know what you think, and let yourself know what they think based on what they tell you. And then maybe you can make the argument why, oh, they should believe how you believe and vice versa, or be like, maybe you should be pro-life because X, Y, and Z. Especially if you're a Christian, you should be pro-life, but still understand that a mother and a child are, they're equal. Like, this is the child and this is the mother. You know what I'm saying? The mother's value should not be higher or lower than the child and vice versa. It should be equal. In a lot of cases, you know. I'm talking about like rape and incest and accidental pregnancies that they didn't know that would actually happen. Stuff like that. But if it's like they know that it's a life and they do not care, they just want to just kill it just because it might be in their way, then I will ask them, why do you think of it in that way? I think that is cruel and not good, especially if they know that it is a life. That I wouldn't just immediately call them a baby murderer, but they are technically murdering a baby, and they know that. So I wouldn't say, well, then you're a baby murderer. I'll be like, why do you think that's not important? Why do you think how am I supposed to say this? Having fun is more important than a life of a baby. Well, like an actual question, not like saying, oh, you know, why are you a baby killer, blah, blah, blah. That's not going to lead to anything.
Children are valuable.
They are.
It can't be just if a mom or dad wants a child, they're valuable, and if they don't want a child, they're not valuable, they're disposable. If the mom or dad gets to choose who are precious and who's medical waste, is that a child? That's really the only question that has to be answered, because everything else flows from that. There are political conversations.
Well, kind of. But I guess I understand why he might think that. I don't know this person. I don't know what he's been through. But basically, I think I can tell that he was based on this alone. He's most likely grew up in a religious household, and most likely his parents are Republican, and he's Republican as well. That I think I can most likely maybe say that's true. Maybe.
Conversations in this room about the value of children, and every time it comes up, it gets noisy. People will say, well, you don't fund enough money for education or childcare or healthcare.
That's true, and sadly, a lot of cases, the reason why some people get abortions is because they don't have enough money to provide them and the child, or they might be poor. So they think that abortion might just be, sadly, a good option to do that instead of maybe letting somebody else take care of it when you can pull yourself together, when you can have enough money to take care of that child. There's also that. I mean, you have to look at that as well.
Healthcare in communities. So you don't love children. I would say I voted for the exact same bill you did last year, for billions of dollars for assistance in childcare, billions of dollars for early childhood education, elementary and secondary education, higher education. We did additional assistance for SNAP benefits last year, and assistance of benefits of moms in needs, increased health care for all communities, for federally qualified health centers to make sure we get health care to every single community. I voted on those exact same things multiple other people did in this room. I care about children outside the womb. Those questions really aren't the question. They're distractions to the question, and I get it.
I don't think they're distractions to the question. They're piling the question that could be equally valid to the earlier question. If you believe that a life is precious, then how come you wouldn't vote on something like everybody should have health care? Because if you agree that every life is precious, why would you think that every life shouldn't have health care? That's a that's an honest question.
Because if I ask, is that a child, people respond, well, do you spend enough for child care or health care? And I still say, wait, stop answering my first question.
Well, hold on. There's another
Is that a child?
question that is piled to that one, which
Maybe I
is
should ask a
equally
more basic
valid
question.
as the previous question, because
Does
it's
everyone in this
kind
room
of
believe in the
the same
principle we
thing.
should do unto others as we would want done unto us?
That's true. I mean,
What would
would
you
you
want
want
done
to
to
be
you when
aborted?
you
I
were in
mean,
the
I'm
womb?
just saying, would you want to be aborted?
Listen, I don't want to address this issue lightly.
And you might say, well, if my mom couldn't provide for it or blah blah blah, then yeah, I wouldn't matter. Or like, I wouldn't care if I was aborted if my mother was all right, and that's difficult. Like I can't just say, well, they're a baby killer for that. I'm like, well, you have a point. If you feel like that's that, then why do you? But what let you do that?
What would you want done to you when you were in the womb?
That's a good. Oh yeah, sorry. I think I already did this. I just did like 10 more minutes back. We're somewhere near this part. Okay.
I don't want to address this issue lightly. This is a difficult issue for some people. I don't think an abortion is a flippant thing that anyone walks into an abortion. I don't meet anyone that had an abortion and is not gleeful about it. Quite frankly, I can imagine that anyone who had an abortion would ever forget the sights and the sounds and the smells of an abortion, knowing that a helpless child is dying at that moment. I grieve for moms and dads who will never, ever forget that they went into a clinic and paid someone to get rid of their child in the name of reproductive care. I can't imagine what their emotion is.
That's true. I can't. And I can't imagine of somebody who didn't necessarily want a child so soon in the fear of so many variables and so many things happening. It seems like the only option is abortion, because here's the main thing. I think most people, both pro-choice and pro-life, really can understand is that when we look at it, most of the time a lot of people are doing abortion is because they don't have enough money or enough resources to take care of that child. So, sadly, for some people, the best option is to do an abortion. Because how are they supposed to take care of it? Especially if they didn't plan to have a child. Especially, sadly, if they were raped or something in that situation where they were forced to have a child. Like, I can't imagine that. Bring in questions that you guys can have a healthy conversation in the comment section and answer yes or no, or just answer it in your mind, like yeah or no. That's what I'm doing. I'm not really gonna answer all the questions I say. Just in general, I'm just laying out things to let people think and understand what it is, like what's the conversation in general. That's what I'm doing right now.
We as a society have to answer this question still for every child that is yet to come.
That is true.
48 years ago this week, the Supreme Court made a decision that has now resulted in the death of 62 million children in America. 62 million. That is hard to fathom. Unlike so many other Supreme Court decisions, America has not forgotten about this one. Our culture has not just moved on and accepted it. Every year since 1974, the first year after the Roe v. Wade decision, individuals from across the country have gathered in Washington, D.C. in defense of the unborn. Friends, families, church leaders, community folks, they've all marched in the rain, the sleet, the snow. It's cold every year this week in January. But they come. This year will be different due to COVID-19 and the ongoing security concerns in Washington, D.C. Marchers are staying home and they're engaging virtually. Maybe this is one more moment where even more.
And again, that's great because I am pro-life, but I'm pro-life while understanding the pro-choice argument enough to debunk it and also kind of understand it enough to, I wouldn't say agree, but to just understand. Because especially now, we need more people to talk, especially about touchy subjects like abortion, it's not cut and dry. It's not black and white, depending on of how it goes or what abortion or what particular type of abortion it is.
Even more people can get involved online, because I expect the rally this year will draw an even larger number of people, from students and families and people, quite frankly, from all over the world, just to ask a simple question: will we recognize the most obvious thing in front of our face? That's a baby.
Yeah, that is a baby. Like, I don't know how some people can think that it isn't, but some do. And instead of yelling at them and just saying that they're a baby killer and they don't care about life, I should say, what led you to that conclusion how this is not a life? Because I am generally curious how you cannot see that as a life. Well, some say because it's not outside the womb, or it's dependent, or it's not, therefore it's not a life. But like, a 1 year old is dependent, like, that's a good argument. But still, I will still listen to what they say and be like, okay, well, I see it in this way, and blah, blah, blah. Have a development. Like, don't just yell or just in general. But there's a reason why some people believe that that's not a life. And it's not just Satan. Part of it is, depending on the person, and depending on how they were taught. You just had to ask them generally what led to your conclusion of thinking that that's not a life, because it seems to clearly look like a life.
President Biden this week celebrated the passage of Roe v. Wade by declaring that he wants to pass a federal law requiring abortion to be provided in every single state in America.
I mean, that could work, but it just depends, because that's a little bit, I don't know.
Not just trust a court decision from 1973. He wants us to proactively require in statute that every state demands abortion in their state.
I don't see that. Like, if you don't, they'll have illegal abortions anyway. If you do, it might not be all good, depending on how they do it. I mean, for me, I wouldn't allow abortions that are like, people know that this is a life, but they don't care. They just want to have more quote unquote fun, or just want to just, I don't want to get into all that, but I think you guys know what I mean in general. Mature here a little bit, but still trying to keep it at least PG-13. Not okay. I don't know. Trying to not go all adult here, but I think you understand what I'm saying by they know it's a life, but they don't care because they just want to just keep sleep. Well, see, excuse my language. Just keep having intimacy. I guess that's a good way to say it in a sense of a way. And I think that type of abortion should be illegal. If they fully know that this is a life, but they don't care and they don't have any good reason to let the child be aborted, they don't have any actual like reasons that it could be having conversation about what they want to do. If it's just like, I just want to kill it, I don't want to take care of it, I know it's alive, but I don't care, then I think that should be illegal, because that's no. Especially if they know how abortion works, that's just no. And would I call them a baby killer? It depends. If they said, come a baby killer, then I will. I mean, I wouldn't enjoy it, but it just depends. It just depends. That's why we need conversation instead of just assuming and yelling. We don't need that.
And that the federal taxpayers, with hard-earned tax dollars, should actually be required to pay for those abortions all over America. Wasn't long ago.
Now, I think stuff like that should have some choice in general. I think tax should be. Well, I mean, we should all pay taxes, but what to pay them with? I don't want my tax paying dollars to be with an organization that I do not really agree with. I wouldn't want my payer dollars to fund abortion. I think there should be a choice of where my tax paying dollars go in general. I think there should be some form of a choice there. With at least stuff like abortion, but anything else, I don't know. Like, I don't really know how taxes work in that way. Because being honest, I'm not paying taxes right now, so I can't. But just in general, in the future, I wouldn't want my tax paying dollars to go to an organization or a particular group that I do not agree with. I think there should be a choice if it's reasonable. If it's reasonable, like I don't want my taxpayer dollars to fund some LGBT. Like no, that I'm sorry, you should not have a choice with that. But something like abortion, I think you should have the choice to see if your taxes go to that or not. It just depends. Again, we should have a conversation about it. That's generally where I stand as of now when it comes to that.
Was saying things like taxpayers shouldn't be required to pay for abortion. They shouldn't be required to pay for something that they find so morally objectionable. Wasn't that long ago, Senator Biden was talking about abortion being safe, legal, and rare. And now as president, within the first week, he's moving as fast as he can to promote abortion and demand taxpayers pay for it.
Oh, this was like, I think this was in I think January, somewhere in January, so it's a little bit old. But I mean, minds are changed, but it just depends. If Biden's mind was like a 180, like he's been kind of like, yeah, abortion should be rare to abortion all the way. Like if it was like this a 180, then I can be in concern of some things that Biden does, but not all things. It just depends, because Biden just seems in general to be a little bit more not 180 hypocritical like Trump was. But I'm not gonna get it all into that.
In fact, painfully so, President Biden's nomination for the Secretary of Health and Human Services has actually no healthcare experience at all. It's a little surprising to a lot of us when we saw it, because we're used to seeing the leader of Health and Human Services be a physician or a scientist, which would make sense in the time of an enormous global pandemic to have a physician leading Health and Human Services. But he actually nominated.
Now I don't know about this person. I don't know if all that what this person is saying about the person that he's talking about is true. I don't know if it's all the way true. So do your own research in general. And this is a fair warning. This person might say things that are a little bit disturbing when it comes to abortion, because he really gets a little bit really into pretty much how the sausage gets made in a sense of a way. Like he really sometimes, but it's not like too graphic of what he says, but it's graphic enough to where I don't think it should be for younger viewers. So just a warning there.
Nominated someone that his biggest qualification is he is one of the most radical advocates for abortion in the country. He did it as a House member, he did it as an Attorney General in California, and clearly the promise was made he'll do it if you put him into Health and Human Services. Let me just give you an example of what I'm talking about for Mr. Becerra. I can't process some of these things.
Do not dox or go after
Mr. Becerra, when
any
he
of
was
these
the
people.
Attorney General for California, actually went to Mississippi to be able to lead a suit against Mississippi, another state, obviously, because that state was talking about limiting abortion to only the earliest days of abortion. Their belief was, after a child feels pain, we should at least not tear a child limb from limb in the womb when their nervous system is developed.
That makes sense.
Mr. Becerra led a coalition of state attorneys general to fight Mississippi and say, you can't protect children that way. He actually argued before the United States Court of Appeals in the Ninth Circuit against the Little Sisters of the Poor, trying to require that group of nuns to provide birth control services. So the group of nuns, literally attacking the Little Sisters of the Poor to kind of push this whole agenda. When he was represented in the House of Representatives, he voted against the Born Alive Survivors Protection Act. So if a child is in a botched abortion is actually delivered instead of destroyed, he wanted to say no, even after they're fully delivered, that child can still be destroyed, even though they're fully delivered, which would make sense because he also, as a representative, fought against the partial birth abortion ban. The procedure where they would, it was a rare procedure, but it's a procedure where they would deliver the child all but the head and then penetrate the head with scissors and kill the child. He fought against that. He fought against the Unborn Victims of Violence Act, which really is odd to me. All it did was criminalize if someone attacked a pregnant woman and killed her child, they could also be liable for that death as well. He also didn't want to recognize the child as child, even if the mother saw the child as a child. He also fought against...
I just want to pause there and be like, if this is all true, Biden made a huge bad choice. He made a horrible choice as a human in health. Like, no, that if all that's true, then yikes. But I will tell you something that I didn't know about, because I think yesterday they were doing the clarification of this person to be in human health service. I gotta talk a little bit about that to see if it's because this was a long time ago, and if I'm correct, to yesterday they did that, and this person kind of responded to things that this person was pretty much saying, but it was a little bit different. But I'm gonna do that a little bit like afterward.
Fought against crossing state lines from
After
minors.
he's done finishing,
have get parents' permission.
What he's saying.
If they cross state lines to go get an abortion somewhere else. As the Attorney General in California, he fought to require churches to pay for abortion care in their health care plans when it directly violated their religious belief.
That's just
unbelievably
stupid.
so.
He
also fought to be able to require pro-life medical clinics where you could go and say, I don't want an abortion, but I do want a sonogram. I want to be able to get some more information about this child. If you went into one of the pro-life centers and got a sonogram, he fought to require there to be a poster on the wall that would say, if you would rather have an abortion, here's the place that you would go. Now, this...
Really? Like, before we just continue on with that, I think it was yesterday they were saying if he was capable of being human health. I don't know if he is in human health. And he said, if I'm correct, pretty much he said, yeah, I kind of do believe in all that, but now I don't, if that's the case. Like, he's gonna follow the law. This person's going to just follow the law. He's not gonna do all the things that he used to do. He's gonna follow the law now. I'm sorry, like, just see it yourself. I don't know what to type in, but just go to C-SPAN. They most likely have hearing be human health. It was like, I think somewhere, I don't remember which time, but it was last night, but it was pre-recorded. Sorry, it'd be a lot vague, but he pretty much said, if I remember, he's just gonna follow the rules, like, you know, he's not gonna let his own opinions and agendas get in the way of what he has to do. So I think we just have to see what this person, if he is now the human health services, if he's the head of that, we'll just see what he does. If he does things that this person said that he would do, I think he should be out. Because, if he does do that. But it seems like he's not. He seems like he's separated that. Like, he knows he's in a different position. He can't just do what he used to do. Again, I do not know. And just pray in general. In the right way. In general.
This is beyond just protecting abortion. That has moved to promoting abortion, encouraging the death of children.
I won't say promoting, I would say enforcing abortions. Let's be real. That would be enforcing if all that is true. If all that what this person is saying about the person is true.
It got even so bizarre that in California, when there was a video taken of a Planned Parenthood group of folks that were trafficking the body parts of children, and it was caught on video, instead of confronting the folks that were trafficking the child body parts, he went after the folks that took the video, the whistleblowers, and exposed them.
No, that's stupid. I'm sorry, I'm just saying that's sad.
I have to. This is not an attack.
Oh, come on, no. And a lot of stuff that he said about this person, if it's true, is disgusting and just what? Wait.
On Mr. Becerra, it's just shock to me that all of those things seem normal. I don't. This is not an attack on Mr. Becerra.
Come on, it kind of is an attack on the person because it's like I'm not attacking you, but I'm just saying I am technically attacking you. Like that what you did was technically attacking the stuff that Mr. Sorry, the person that he was talking to, pretty much like that. He was technically at least targeting him, or he was of concern of this person being in Health and Human Service, the leader of the Health and Human Service Department of the United States, which I live in the United States, but I'm being specific, pretty much, because there's different Health and Human Services around the world, most likely. But in general, just saying, being formal, pretty much. Like, you kind of are, I wouldn't say attacking, but at least maybe attacking his views or his actions, saying that it's what he's done is a negative. So you may not be attacking him physically or politically. Well, technically speaking, politically. I mean, you are technically attacking him, but you're, I guess, like, come on, you are technically attacking him. But anyways.
It's just a shock to me that all of those things seem normal. I don't understand that. Culturally, I don't understand how the person who is being appointed to lead health and human services can say that children are subhuman. I don't have to.
Well, I mean, like, I really got nothing to say.
Recognize that as human, though I'm leading health and human services. That's apparently optional tissue, not a human child. I believe that children are human.
Yes, children are human. And mothers and biological, unplanned mothers are human. See, what I think about abortion in a lot of cases, about what's in more of importance of life. This is the child, this is the mother. One should not be higher than the other. It should be equal and caring and loving. Both the mother and the child. Just in general. Unless in some circumstances or cases where it might be, one might be, what, I won't say greater than the other, but it just depends, because sometimes the mother is like, I rather my child live than let me live, and the vice versa. I rather let myself live than my child, and that's that I have nothing with. All I can do is pray in that case, or give suggestions. But generally, for me, when it comes to maybe rape or incest or just unplanned pregnancies, it's equal. One should not be higher than the other. One life should not be more valuable than the other. The mother and the child should be equally valuable as a human being by having the conversation of should that child live or die. Because first question, if you're talking about like you're pro life or you're pro choice and you're talking to a pro life pro choice person, where does life begin for you, or where does life begin in general for you? And they say either conception or outside the womb. And I would say, what led you to that conclusion? Why do you think that X, Y, Z? And then you have a healthy conversation.
We should honor every child's life. It's a baseline for us to be able to say if a child is actually delivered in a botched abortion and they've been fully delivered outside the womb, we should help that child get medical care.
Yes, but in order to get that care, maybe every child should have health care, or maybe health care that's more available and affordable to everybody. You see, again, that's why some people sadly do abortions, is because they don't have enough resources or enough money for their health care to help that child. So sadly, the last option for some is abortion. And that doesn't have to be, unless if you look at the issue of our health care. Care it needs to be fixed a little. But I don't think it should be full on socialist health care or universal. But it should be not like a game show, like this is gonna save you. Oh no, this. No. It should be a prescription that's optional, not a weird game of money. It's health care. This is human beings we're talking about. This is life we're talking about.
I don't understand why that's so hard.
Sorry.
I don't understand why it's so hard to say. Some people are absolutely appalled by the taking of a child's life. Don't force them with tax dollars to pay for it. I don't understand why that's controversial. I don't understand.
True. And same thing with pro-life clinics. I don't think taxpayer dollars that don't want to fund that should have the choice not to fund it. And I don't know why it's controversial to say that everybody should have health care. Because his party is most likely the Republican Party, and they're against what we have now, or against any type of thing that could maybe help people. Not saying fully help them, but at least help them and have some form of agreement. It just seems they just hate the other person's ideas, even though they don't have a plan. I don't know why it's controversial to say everybody should have health care. Like, so let's be real. Like, I don't
understand why it's controversial that when a child can feel pain in the womb, that we shouldn't dismember a child in the womb. I don't understand why that's controversial.
I don't know why it's controversial to say let's recognize something in our country like race relations about a lot of black people sadly being stopped by the cops less than white people. I don't understand why that's controversial in the Republican Party. I understand there are far left people who are very racist against white people, but generally, let's recognize there might be something wrong.
I don't understand why it's controversial to some that if a healthcare provider who has sworn to protect life, that person shouldn't be compelled to take life in an abortion procedure by their employer. I don't understand why that's controversial. But for some reason,
he's got a point, but there are some positions in the medical field where you don't want to take life, but you know that almost in every single situation in the medical field, I have people who work in the medical field, my family members who do, and some that are getting into the medical field. They know that almost every single, if not every single appointment that they have, or surgery, or whatever it is, could lead to death. So I'm not saying that a doctor is like trying to, you know, kill you or anything, but I'm just saying that generally doctors try to preserve life, but sometimes they accidentally lose the life. And when it comes to abortion, I think depending on the hospital, it should be a choice for the doctor if they should do that procedure. Because one, you're a doctor, you should, you're kind of paid to do almost every single procedure. And also, two, you're a doctor and you work there. And this, I think depending on the hospital, the doctor should have a choice if they want to do an abortion procedure. I don't think it should be forced to them to do that, and I don't think they should be punished for doing it if it's illegal to do an abortion. It just depends. I don't really want to get all into it, but generally, I don't think for pro-life people, I don't think we should say the people who do the abortion, the person who want the abortion should be punished. And pro-choice, I don't think that we should, in pro-choice as well, I don't think we shouldn't say we should force every single doctor to do an abortion or force every single person to do an abortion. Those are the two radicals of that. I think it should just be the choice depending on the hospital. The doctor should have that choice in general, for me, in my opinion.
It is. Among our most basic rights in America, life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness.
Getting closed caption.
One of the most basic things that come out of our founding documents is these things are referred to as self-evident. Facts are facts.
True. And also, when it said all men are created equal, sadly, it wasn't really including all men. And sometimes it wasn't even including women. But it that was what it was trying to do. All man, all human beings, male and female, cis men and women, trans men and women, gender neutral, bisexual, gay, straight, lesbian, trans, all mankind is created equal. That was supposed to be the purpose of it, but during the time it was written, not all of mankind was equal. That was the case. Like, it's true, when the person that was writing all men are created equal, but yet they had slaves, it was kind of hypocritical. But some of them were not for it. In fact, some of them tried to free their slaves, but other people catch them back. So there is that. So at the time it was written, not all men were created equal, but the intent was that all men are created equal in the image of God, or in your belief in general. And we gotta talk about that.
Facts have a face. How can you look at that picture and say that's not a human child?
I mean, I can't agree. Like,
how can we not acknowledge the simple facts? Now, I do understand for some people this is very difficult because they fought for years for abortion. And they don't want that to change, because if it changed, they would have to admit there have been deaths of millions of children on their watch.
That is kind of true, and that's why we need to have conversation with it. And what I was saying about all men are created equal, we have to have a conversation of that. We have to recognize the history of when that was made and how we express it or exercise that.
That is not a simple thing to admit. But please do not tell me you're following the science. Because that child has 10 fingers and 10 toes, and a beating heart, and a functioning nervous system. That child has DNA that's different than the mom or the dad. That's not random tissue. That is a separate person, and science would confirm that. So please don't tell me you follow the science.
He's got a point. I mean, like, I get what pro-choice is kind of saying, but like when you look at it at the end of the day, it's a life. Like, again, that's why we have to ask the first question: where does life begin? Like, because some people don't think that's a life because it's inside the womb.
Wherever it goes, because some facts are obvious, and the science is clear. And this all gets resolved when we answer one simple question. Is that a child or not? Because everything else goes from there. For those of you joining the March for Life online this week, good for you. Keep going. Don't give up. Defend the facts that are self-evident. Speak out for those who can't speak for themselves. Because millions of future Americans are counting on it. And they're watching for someone to admit the facts that have a face. I yield the floor.
Okay, that was that video. Now we're going to transition into the comment that I made and pretty much generally what we should do as Americans talking about abortion. Now, this is a notes app that I have and that I sometimes do with the comments that I think I can use repeatedly or even say about them, or just print them out in some cases. That's what I'm going to be doing later on about something, or like an early project or say movement that I might be doing later on, if things don't change. But anyways, this was my comment. Okay, I'll help you guys. This was for all extreme pro-life people and some extreme pro-choice people. Just kidding, I was joking, but seriously. You have to understand that some people think that I think I spelled fetus right, hopefully, that the fetus isn't even a child. Some people do think that, and we need to understand why they think that. It's not a living being, so when you try to compare a child that's outside of the womb and a fetus for a pro-choice person, some of them are going to say, well, one is living and one is not, because it's inside the womb is dependent, even though 1-year-olds are dependent. But again, you have to understand. I mean, even though that's like, like seriously 1-year-olds, like, but it's like, okay, what's the difference between that and a 1-year-old then? Because similarly, they are dependent, right? That's why it's very important when you have conversations and understand both sides and what's really going on. One pretty much says, I don't like abortion, but I think it should be a choice. That is some moderate pro-choice people like, I'm not really in with abortion, but I think it should be at least a choice to have it. I think it should be a woman's choice to have it. That's what most pro-choice people think. In some cases. Sorry, it's not in, it's and. One says that abortion should not be a choice in a sense of a way. Saying that abortion should even be in the choices because it's killing a life, which I think I can agree. Also understanding the other. That's why pretty much what a lot of people are That's what a lot of people are. One are people who don't like abortion but think it should be a choice, or they think abortion should be the only choice. That's the extreme version of pro-choice people, which it is. And the other people are people who say that a child is a life even inside or outside the womb, which I think is true. And it's wrong to kill an innocent life through abortion and other means. And the extreme is no abortions at all, don't care what the condition is, don't care if it's rape, incest, threat of the mother, threat of the child, threat of the mother, or even threat of the child. I don't know what they would say, but no, this in general. Or the condition is, or anything, no abortions ever. That's the extreme version of pro-life people, which it is. Which for me, I think in some cases for abortion, it's case-by-case scenario, but generally the given is not to do it. If you look at it like that, then we can have a healthy and reasonable and understandable conversation of abortion. Wait, I should at least put the period there. Conversations of this. And if you can see at the top of the screen, you can see that it says after Roe v. Wade. Because a little bit before Roe v. Wade was overturned, and especially during and after Roe v. Wade was overturned, I pretty much had a more different opinion on abortion. I'm a little bit more pro-choice, but I'm still basically pro-life to an extent, but I'm still a bit more pro-choice now, especially on both sides, the extreme laws, but I think it's particularly on the pro-life side, the extreme laws, and just the stuff that, well, let's just be honest, what was it, a 10, 12-year-old girl, 10-year-old girl had to go across state to get an abortion. That should not happen in our country. That shouldn't. Period. Done. Over. It shouldn't happen in our country. A child does not need to go out of state to, rightfully so, get an abortion. Because a child birthing a child, that is something that's legitimately unnatural. Something that's an offense to humanity, God, and nature. A child giving birth to a child should never happen. Period. Done. Over with. But I don't think that in Sweden, this might be a hot take, but if you really think about it, part Sweden, if I'm correct, this is in Sweden, kinda Nazi. Because they pretty much either encourage or allow people who their babies maybe have Down syndrome to straight up abort a life just because they have Down syndrome. Yeah, I'm sorry, that's kind of not there. I thought we learned our lesson. That's inhuman and immoral, and honestly, I'm gonna say it, another hot take, demonic. Boom. Done. Over with. It's evil. No. You're dehumanizing people with Down syndrome in Sweden. Yeah, no. No. Bad. Evil. Nazi. Fascist. Demonic. Done. Over with. Both sides. Okay. Alright. I'm calm. I'm more calm now, or I am calm. Not more calm. I am a little bit more calm. At the end of the day, I'm somewhat centrist about it. Not straight up centrist, but like, we need resources and options to where having an abortion is not an excuse. We don't have that yet. So instead of just straight up pretty much banning abortion, how about, I don't know, making sure that every orphanage is mandated to let every type of family adopt a child, aka it doesn't matter if they're straight up straight, if they're gay, trans, bi, etc., they can be loving families too. Okay, done with that. Boom. That's one thing. Better healthcare, and honestly, pretty much healthcare for all. I mean, there should be some, not like in a socialist way, like I said in my video, but I do believe that, yeah, at this point, healthcare for all. Like in my video, that I understand why that is an issue in the Republican Party, and apparently the right wing, and apparently Christians, which is ironic. But way in the future, I'm doing a little bit of spoiler here, because I'm saying a lot, because this is important. This is why I said special in a sense of a way. The video, I said this is kind of special. Special as in, like, again, like unprecedented, pretty much. The norm is now not the norm. Better sex education, obviously, that's been proven. If you have better sex education, you're most likely not going to have unwanted pregnancies. Unwanted pregnancies is the big thing of abortion. If you don't want to be pregnant, just abort it. But again, orphanages, let the gay people be people. They can have a family too. Alright, stop that. Okay, healthcare for all, pretty nice. Have enough money in health insurance, and maybe, I don't know, pay family leave, things like that, so, families can actually, breathe, they can come together, they can join a good family, and, generally speaking, good families in the home, good neighborhood, sometimes. Good neighborhood, sometimes, maybe good city, etc., etc., etc. Just make people's lives more easier and better and more affordable. Abortion's gonna go down. Abortion's gonna go down. Quite simple. No need for children to go out of state to do something that's necessary that can do in state, and we don't have to go full on Nazi, demonic fascists and say that Down syndrome people are not human, and just straight up abort them because they might be, or they are, people who have Down syndrome. Let's not do that. Both sides here. If you indulge me a little bit more, let's just maybe do a general prayer. Again, if you're non-religious, you can just skip to this point to more videos, or if you're religious, I think this might be good. I gotta do this prayer on the fly, because it's gonna be from the heart. So, dear God, please help America in this decision of abortion, especially when 2024 hits us. Just let us have, like I said in my video, conversations. Let us not be Sweden, nor let us be, sadly, red states in the South. Lord, let us not, our children, have to go cross states to do something that's basically necessary for them getting an abortion, because I think it is offensive to you, that child, as a child. And let us not have a demonic, fascist, Nazi, hateful idea or policies that would let people with Down syndrome just straight up be aborted just because they have Down syndrome. Let us still recognize that people with Down syndrome are human, and I pray that Sweden will abolish that law of straight up aborting Down syndrome people because they have Down syndrome. They are human too. You made them too. You didn't make them with Down syndrome. Because respectfully, for some people, in Christianity, it's a free gift. It is. But you have an enemy that hates your guts and wants you to die and burn with him in hell. So he's going to do everything he can to stop that. Meaning, if he sees a law that's dehumanizing people, he's going to try everything he can to make that baby have Down syndrome. Either that, or it just happens randomly. Sometimes Satan tries to do something in the fetus, or maybe that's just how they were born. Some people are just born with Down syndrome. But I pray, like in America, Sweden will recognize that they are human and they deserve life and a chance. And just give us mercy and grace on both sides. People who almost got an abortion but realized it was not for them, and those who do get an abortion, we know it's not fun. Most of them don't enjoy it. Most people, they don't really want to think about it. But sadly, they knew that either it was a risk to them, or sadly it was convenient, meaning that they did not want their child to suffer and die a painful death. But maybe a more swiftful, still maybe painful death, as David said, paraphrasing it. And I think it was Samuel? I think it was in 2 Samuel. I might not see you on earth, but I'll see you in heaven. That's basically how it's like. So I just thank you that we'll be able to just have better conversations, try not to yell as much, and try to listen more. And even if we disagree, I think we can at least agree that we're basically all pro-life. Basically. One of us just believes that abortion should be on the table, another one says no, there are better options. They're both correct. We need access to abortion and better options to where there's no excuse for abortion, but we're not there yet, God. I pray that we will be there one day. We will care about people's lives. We will recognize that any type of family is a family. Gay families are families. Period. Happy Pride Month. But for real. For real. In general, even if you think being gay is a sin, you love the sinner and hate the sin. There's a lot of sinners that are good parents, but they don't obey God. I think we're good with people who are basically good, but they might be somewhat sinners to God, because a sin is an offense to God, not the law, because God has different personal laws than the government. So somebody who drinks beer a lot but does it responsibly, I think they can be a good parent and they should be able to adopt. Same thing with a gay person. If you think that being gay is a sin within it, let gay people be people. They can be families too. Shout out to the rooftops. But all that being said, thank you, Lord, that you are hearing my prayer and that other people prayed with me. I pray that people who might not pray as much might actually pray now, because, it's not just a monologue. I am making a request to you, God, because I believe that you are real. You're not a genie. You might answer in a way I might not like, or I will like a lot, or I was surprised, or I was never surprised at all, because I have a relationship with you, God. And so with that, I say thank you for listening. God, I know you always listen to my prayers, because I am a Christian. I believe you're real, and you're the only way, truth, and the life. But for those who might not be thinking that, or those who are in a different religion, I pray they'll see you in the religion and they'll come to you. If you do want that, the prayer for that is in the description down below to give your life to Christ. If you're a backslider, or you dedicate your life to Christ, in the description down below. Excuse me. And if you're a Christian and you want the baptism of the Holy Spirit with the evidence of speaking with tongues, that prayer is also in the description down below. And yeah, love you, God. Thank you that you love me. In Jesus' name. And I thank you love everybody who watched or didn't watch, watched all the way, or stopped. Thank you they all have blessed lives, and everybody and everything that they love is blessed. In Jesus' name. Amen.